Welcome everyone to our latest Insight interview for Site Leaders Connect. I'm very excited today to have Frank Buck with us here to share some insight that he has gained over his years of experience as an educational leader. Frank, if you could please introduce yourself and tell us why you chose to be an educational leader.
Thank you, Catherine. It's a pleasure to be here. You know, I'm one of those that said, I never want to be an educational leader. I never want to be a principal. I don't want that headache. I was a middle school band director and I had a successful program. I was happy. I thought I'm going to be doing this for 30 years. But then my 9th year as a teacher, we got a new principal at that middle school. And when I saw what one person could do for the culture and the climate of a school that was already high performing, I started to rethink the whole thing. So several months later, I'm taking administrative courses and my principal serving as my mentor. So I think that the first big takeaway for those who are listening and watching this morning is you need a mentor. We can't reinvent the wheel. There's just not enough time in our career. Loved it. Couple of years later, I find myself as a middle school assistant principal in a neighboring school system, and really quickly ran across a central office administrator who from day one called me Dr. Buck. Now, I wasn't Dr. Buck, and he knew that, but every time he saw me, it was Dr. Buck. And all kind of war stories about his own doctorate, that the doctorate was the smoothest of all the programs I'd been in. And I thought, yeah, sure. And he says, when it came time to do my dissertation proposal, it took me 5 weeks, but I worked on it every night. And I thought, yeah, right. Well, after being called Dr. Buck on a daily basis by this guy, a year later, I'm in a doctoral program. And I knew it was supposed to be the smoothest program. And so if it wasn't, I knew I needed to course correct. That the problem wasn't the program. The problem was me figure out what I'm doing wrong. And when it came time to do the dissertation proposal, I knew how long it was supposed to take, but that I had to work on it every night. So, and for those who are out there, the point of all this, for those of you who are thinking about your own doctorate, let me throw out 2 quick tips. Number one, figure out what you want to do the dissertation on the front end. Before you take even the first class, at least a basic idea of your subject. Because every course you take, you're going to have to write a paper. And so you can figure a way to take your topic and make it fulfill the requirements of that paper so that every paper you write is feeding the dissertation. And second, make friends with the secretary in that department, because the doctorate can be a very ambiguous route. And that secretary is one that keeps the professors all in line. She pretty much knows what's going on, and she can give you the 1, 2, 3s of how to navigate the process. So, and then here I was, an educational leader.
Excellent. Well, thank you for sharing that. I mean, some great things that I heard there. First of all, the fact that you were inspired by someone else.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so remembering that as educational leaders, we do inspire others. And
Yes.
So making sure that we support others and develop leaders around us as well, I think is very important. And you spoke about basically efficiency in getting your doctorate, which is a wonderful thing, you know, a great educational experience for yourself and for others to share that info, but the need to have systems and organize. Can you share some more insight on that topic?
Absolutely. I had always kind of been an organized person, as you might imagine. And so as I started, you know, as I was thinking about the dissertation on the front end of that program, I thought time management. So my doctoral dissertation was a study of the time management practices of Alabama principals. One of the things that I found was there was so much literature out there on time management in the business world, but not so much aimed at school people. So as I'm doing the dissertation, I put together a workshop that I thought, well, I could do this for principals and for teachers. And that has just grown and grown and grown. And so when I decided to retire in 2009, it was for one reason: to be able to go and do this full time, to write and to speak and to help other people find an easier way to work and play. Because you mentioned systems, and it's all about systems, not little tips here and there, but systems that work together. So I'd like to share two things in the brief time that we have here, because really, I tell people, if you were to follow me around all day long, I only do two things. So the first thing I do is check the tickler file. The tickler file, it's an old business tool that I learned from my dad when I was like 8 years old. 31 folders, hanging file folders, just labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 31, representing the 31 days of the month, and then 12 more folders, January, February, March. So the idea is all this paper that's laying on your desk and laying on top of the filing cabinet and stacked in the floor, because I need to take that to the meeting tomorrow. And oh, there are the concert tickets for Thursday. Let me lay them on the corner of my desk where I won't forget them. And we got all kind of stuff laying around that we can't do anything about today, but it's a reminder to do so in the future. When do I want to see this again? Drop it in the tickler folder. Forget it. When do I want to see that again? Drop it in the tickler folder and forget it. And then all I have to do is pull the folder for the day, and there's every piece of paper that at some time in the past I want to come back to me today. And so that's the first big tip for that I hope that people who are listening today are going, you know, I could set that up today. I could have that idea today. That's kept my desk clean for over 30 years. And it's the biggest takeaway. People come back to me years later and go, you know, that workshop I went to and I heard you talk about the tickler file, that has changed my life. But then here's the next question I always get. Frank, do you have something like the tickler file for all the digital stuff in my life, the emails, the thoughts, all the stuff that right now I'm writing down on sticky notes and sticking around the computer monitor, and it's all falling off on the floor? And I say, absolutely. A digital task list. Think, Catherine, think of how much comes to you and me every day digitally. Emails, things off the internet. So that I'm thinking, you know, if so much is coming to me digitally, doesn't it make sense to have a system that keeps digital stuff digital? So I have a digital task list. There are a lot of them out there, but the one that I use that I think is really by far the best is one that doesn't get a lot of publicity, and it's called toodledoo.com. Dumb name, great program. It's web-based. It's going to work on Mac and Windows. It's got iOS and Android apps. So, you know, get to your stuff from anywhere. You know, it's free to have. But the idea is just the same as the tickler file. Anything that goes on the list, I say, when do I want to see this again? I give it that due date. And then my list is in order by due date. So here's what I've got coming up today, tomorrow, the next day. And if you keep scrolling, because there are like 1,400 tasks on there, and people go, my goodness, you have that much to do. And I go, yeah, and you do too. Things like changing your air filter at home every month instead of when your air conditioner breaks. And you have a dog. Don't you give the heartworm pill to your dog once a month? Are you just hoping you remember that? Or would you rather have a system that sort of gives that to you? And then how many people walk around with a driver's license that's expired because they never think about, when does my driver's license expire? And nobody sends you a little reminder in the mail. So you scroll down my list, and there are things for next month, for 6 months from now, for 2 years from now, but it's all in order by due date. And I don't have to think about any of it. I get to be 100% right here, you and me. I've got 100 other things I'll be looking at today, but I don't have to think about one of them right now, because 100% of me is right here, right now. And then after this interview, 100% of me will be on whatever the next thing is on the list. And life is so much easier. Call it total control and peace of mind, and we can all have it.
I like that. What I like about it is, regardless of, some people really like paper, some people really like digital means. You need both. You really do. Yeah. I mean, there are times when I have to bring a physical paper to something. Yes. And so, but what I like about that, because I do a lot of automated digital note-taking, to-do lists and such, but I don't have it organized by due date. So I have to go through and look through a lot of things to find what I actually need. So I like that idea. That's a good tip that I think I will take back. Also, I know another thing that a lot of people, something I do and many others do as well, is using the calendar, digital calendars and reminders that way. But you can't put too much on there. Yeah, but you can't put too much on there. You've got to have a separate to-do list too, because there's so much.
I think you're right on the money. And I know a lot of people that say, oh, I have a digital to-do list. And I go, well, tell me what you use. And so I generally hear one or two things. I put everything on my calendar because I just don't have another place to put it. And so, like you're talking about, it gets real full of not only the places that you have to be certain day, certain time, but all the other things you'd kind of like to do on that day. I want to see on the calendar that, you know, this is where I am, and that's it. And then everything else on that to-do list, so that if I don't do it today, it automatically rolls over to the next day. And for me, it's a whole lot easier, just works a whole lot better. And then the other thing people say is, oh, I have that little iPad, that little yellow legal pad looking thing on my iPhone, and that's my to-do list. I'm going, well, that's great for the 3 things you're going to pick up at the grocery store this afternoon, but where are you going to put the reminder to get your driver's license renewed 4 months from now? And they go, oh, you're right. So Toodle-do or any good digital task list, it's worth its weight in gold.
Absolutely. Something else I liked that you addressed is those things in our personal lives and making sure that those are on the same to-do list, because I find myself, I try to separate them, but I really only look at the work one. That's the one that seems most important, right? So now they're all there. Now I put the personal stuff on there too. And so I like that. A lot of people talk about work-life balance, and a colleague and I talk about work-life fusion. When I'm at work, I still need to know, right? Yes. I still need to know what's going on. You know, when I go to work, I'm still a parent. And if something reminds me of my son, then I'm still a parent. When I'm at home and I'm watching TV and something reminds me, oh, I want to use that in a workshop, teachers could learn from that. It's seamless. You know, it's a fusion. So I love the way that you incorporated that into the to-do lists as well.
Yeah, I tell people I'm one person. Give me one list.
There you go. Absolutely. Yeah. And with those digital lists now too, we could do a lot of collaboration if we need to have shared lists and things like that with, you know, you mentioned Google. There's other systems as well. Microsoft Office on 365 online and such. So yeah, but absolutely. It really frees up more time. And what I love about what you said too is when you know that all those things are taken care of, the stress level goes down and you can be where you need to be 100% and not have to worry. So that's some great advice.
And here's one of my favorite tricks. One of the reasons I really love to have a digital task list. You know, I got to get dog food. Oh gosh, I got to write that down somewhere. Okay, Google. Okay, Google. Saturday, get dog food.
I will add this to Toodle-do for Saturday.
Guess what? I now get to forget all about dog food. There it's going to be on the list. And I didn't even have to write anything down. I just pull out the phone that I have with me from everywhere and just use Google Assistant to tell it what to do. And you can do the same kind of thing with the iPhone as well.
Absolutely.
Makes life easier. Total control and peace of mind.
I love that. That's a great tagline. So yeah, well, thank you so much for sharing. I know you have lots more insight that you could share, but you know, it's a short format show. We value people's time. So where are places that people can learn more information about this topic of organization and systems?
I am so glad you asked that question, Catherine, because I just happen to have a website.
Perfect.
It's my name, frankbuck.org, not com, but .org, frankbuck.org. I have a blog. I've been blogging for like over 10 years. So pretty much anything you want to look at, Google Calendar, Toodle-do, Evernote, they're going to be posted on there. So just search for the topic you're looking for, and there things are. Have an email newsletter list. And if you join that, the very first thing you get, it's sort of a little thank you for joining, is basically the first chapter of my book, Get Organized, Time Management for School Leaders. And then the second thing that you get is a little ebook that I put together on ToodleDo of here's how to create an account. Here's how to get the app. Here are those one-time settings that you need, 10 minutes and you're done. And then here's how I structure the system. Here's how I go about things. Here's how I organize the list. Here's how I handle when I get to the end of the day and there's still 10 tasks I didn't get done. Here's how I make those dates all change in mass to the next day. So it's all in there. It's absolutely free. And then, of course, information on ordering the book. It's a quick read. And if I had to pick one word to leave out, I couldn't. Because we really pared this down to what I feel like is the most absolutely necessary stuff that is going to make a difference for people. And then as I tell people, if I've not been to your school or your school district or your business, it's for one reason. Nobody's asked me. So on the website, if you're looking for professional development that's going to make a difference, hey, let's talk. And that website will, it'll point you in the right direction.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Frank. I appreciate all of this insight that you provided, because especially because it's so practical. It's not theory, it's practical advice, and I think that school leaders really need to hear that.
What I want. Yes, absolutely.
Yes. Well, thank you again for being with us. I do want
Catherine, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And I just want to close by reminding everyone to check out our siteleadersconnect.org website and go ahead. There is a searchable EduLeader database on there that you can see, as well as other resources. So again, thanks for joining us. And thank you, Frank, for being with us as well.
Thank you, Catherine.